I'm a Gen Xer, and if you grew up in the pre-internet era, welcome. You're among friends. This is a personal ride through the music that shaped me, wrecked me, rescued me, and probably made me a little weirder than I was anyway. Have you ever wondered how your musical taste became what it is today? Like, I started with listening to the Beatles and ended up in Sex Pistols punk territory. So, yeah, it's a wild ride. And no, it doesn't make much sense. But stick around because this is my Gen X musical evolution, and it may just remind you of your own. Now, I'm just your average Gen Xer who grew up with an LP in one hand and a bowl of Captain Crunch in the other. This video is a journey through the soundtrack of my life, from the cheesy pop and disco and novelty records of my childhood to the weird deep cuts I treasure today. Music wasn't just background noise for us Gen Xers. It was how we survived adolescence without smartphones, with nothing but a radio dial and a tape recorder. I'm going to take you decade by decade, era by era, and maybe you'll see a little of your own story along the way. I still remember my grandparents' naugahyde sofa that made farting sounds whenever you sat down on it. I would sit there and listen to my grandfather sing along with Porter Wagner on the TV show. My mom loved Elvis and old rock and roll, so there was always good music playing. And TV themes, Scooby-Doo, Bugs Bunny, Fat Albert, they were the greatest hits of my Saturday mornings. In the mornings, I got up when my alarm went off, listening to KLIF radio, and that was in Dallas. It was the station that invented Top 40 radio. KLIF 1190. Then came junior high. Casey and the Sunshine Band, disco, Saturday Night Fever, Grease. But my favorite was ELO. I was a huge ELO fan. I wore culottes, polyester t-shirts, and Corky's platform sandals. And I read every rock and roll magazine I could get my hands on. Cream magazine, Rolling Stone, and Trouser Press when I could find one. My favorite rock stars started dying. I cried when I heard that John Lennon had been unalived. And then Keith Moon and John Bonham drank themselves to oblivion. Leonard Skinner was in a fatal plane crash on my 12th birthday. Music was my escape from anxiety and self-loathing. My record player was basically my babysitter. Like most Gen Xers, I was alone a lot of the time. I spent many hours in my bedroom lip syncing along with my favorite records. The first album I bought myself with my own money that I'd earned from milking cows was Steve Miller Band's Fly Like an Eagle. I played that album until I wore it out. Rock and roll made me feel not so alone, and I discovered what made me tick. High school was a musical battleground. I bounced between AC/DC, Iron Maiden, and Ozzy to underground punk records that nobody knew about because they would probably make me even weirder in my schoolmates' eyes. That was angst, rebellion, and a whole lot of attitude. I got hooked on the Sex Pistols and the Clash just as punk broke out in the late 70s. And my mixtapes started looking like a mood ring. Dark sometimes, light sometimes, just all over the place. Music wasn't just what I listened to, it was what I was trying to be. College changed everything. Suddenly, I didn't feel like I had to impress anyone. I started listening to the Talking Heads, the Go-Go's, and even Black Flag, stuff that made my head spin in the very best way. I found a indie record store with the staff that looked like they were judging you by your musical taste all the time. But they always had the best records and could recommend great stuff that you had never heard of. I had been collecting records since I was a child. The physical connection of holding the record in your hands and admiring the album artwork. Then CDs came out. CDs led me from Nick Drake and Joni Mitchell to Husker Du and the Replacements. I actually became a record store clerk during this period, and it was finally my chance to turn my customers on to stuff that they had never heard before. Music became atmosphere, sort of a comfort for grown up chaos. Today, my playlists are a wild mashup. Some 80s new wave for the mornings, 70s hard rock in the afternoon to wake me up after lunch. To unplug, West Coast jazz is my favorite. And yeah, I have a guilty pleasure playlist that has more early disco records on it than I care to admit. But vinyl records are my touchstone. As a Gen Xer, I'm very into nostalgia because musically I kind of lost the plot after 2000. I used to be known for being able to tell you the name of a song within the first two notes. But now I look at the hit lists and I don't know any of those people. But I still keep my ears open. Looking back, this isn't just a playlist, it's the soundtrack to growing up and getting older. From 8 tracks to streaming, music has been memory, identity, comfort, and rebellion all rolled into one. And that's why Gen Xers cling so hard to our music, even as we keep discovering new stuff. I still crank Susie and the Banshees at home, but I'm just as happy diving into something totally new. That's the journey. If you're a Gen Xer, I want to hear from you. What's your musical evolution? Drop your favorite memory, guilty pleasure, or deep cut in the comments below. I'll have some great links for you down below. And if you enjoyed this trip down memory lane, please hit like and subscribe and hit that little bell so you don't miss what's coming next. We've got plenty more to explore together about being Gen X. Thanks for watching, and I will see you on the flip side.